There's no more waiting around. The Toyota Minor League Championship presented by Sunoco is finally back, and so is Joel Manning, International Man of Charisma. Joel, it's great to talk to you again. It's been a long time, but in some ways it seems like it was just yesterday.
No, indeed. It's actually only been a couple of months, It's been just shy of a year, but the action is here again. And this weekend showed that it is going to be an exciting season of cricket for number 2.
Yeah, so are you done? Are you getting tired of hanging out with bikini models and stuff like that? Are you ready to get right back into minor league?
It's all work, so wherever work takes me, I go. So yes, I am here with my league and ready to go.
Awesome. Well, thanks for making time for us. I know I know you'd rather be out there on a boat someplace, wearing some designer clothes, but I appreciate this.
Never a problem, Nate.
Some upgrades to the minor league cricket this season. There's more turf games. There's hybrid wickets coming. We've got premium streams now, as you saw this weekend at Woodley in Los Angeles. We were treated to Nikhil, Zubin, and Josh on comms over there, which is always going to be entertaining and insightful. They have an 8-camera, operation going on. So you got to see, it was like the real deal this time around, So we've got that going on every weekend now. And next weekend, they're going to be in Prairie View Cricket Complex. So we'll see teams like Houston, Chicago, Golden State, Michigan. We're going to see the returning champions, the Strikers, Seattle, Southern California. They're all going to be gathered there playing the premium streams. I'm really stoked to see so many good teams in that group that'll be there next week. So we should see some really good games. We saw some good games from those same teams this weekend, including Seattle going 1-1 against the Blazers, the East Bay Blazers. The Strikers went 2-0. Golden State went 2-0. We didn't see Michigan yet. We'll see them this coming weekend. They'll premiere. Houston actually lost this past weekend to Dallas. Dallas was absolutely fantastic, beating Lone Star also in their other game. That team looks very deep, very tough to beat. So this week we saw some crackers, some really close games over in the South. We saw Morrisville lose to the Fort Lauderdale Lions. A lot of people were surprised by that. That was a game that was shortened by rain to 14 overs. The Morrisville Raptors actually got a dose of that Orlando Galaxy bad luck this weekend when they got their game against Orlando Galaxy rained out. That's going to be tough. There's some good teams in that division. So leaving there with only the point that you get from a rain out, not beating a team that a lot of people think you should beat. Obviously, Roy Silva had other ideas in that game and absolutely plunked the ball, just hit it all over the place. He was absolutely brutal, bowled well as well. And in a 14 over game, anything can happen. You have one guy stand on his head and all of a sudden you win the game. That's not to say anything bad about Fort Lauderdale. They're not a bad team by any stretch, but a lot of people were expecting Morrisville to win that game. I mentioned Texas, Seattle going 1-1 against the Blazers. Golden State and Silicon Valley have not skipped a beat. They look fantastic. We saw Asen Adil today with 6 wickets, 7 for the weekend. He leads the entire tournament. That guy, Golden State went all the way to the finals weekend last year without him. So they've in some ways improved this year. Of course, we're going to see what happens when players are taken away. Vatsal being one of them, taken away for USA service this year, and Silicon Valley Strikers are going to lose Saurabh Netravalkar. Maybe that will even things out a little bit for the other teams. Seattle will definitely try to take advantage of that. East Bay will definitely try to take advantage of that. But yeah, the West does not look any easier this year.
No, definitely not. And it's interesting that you mentioned with regards to the players leaving, because I was looking at the game this weekend. I was seeing the performances when I was saying, okay, these teams are jumping ahead, but it's a very long season. I think that's something that people have to be aware of from my league. It's not 4 weeks and, it is all done and over with. There are over 200 games that are going to be played over the next month and a half. And for the teams that are going to lose players, the points that they get at the top are going to be crucial, because we saw with last season, there were a couple teams who were leading, and then all of a sudden down at the back end, they lost some players and it did not make it to that finals weekend. So it's going to be very interesting to see the little trade-off that we have when players leave either for national duties. We have a couple of guys in the Caribbean who are going to head back home for different types of engagements, so it's going to be very interesting this season, watching how it plays out as people switch around.
Oh, definitely. And speaking of guys from the Caribbean, What about Raheem Cornwall this weekend?
No, honestly, I had the pleasure of sitting down and watching the stream for all two games that he was batting. Let's talk about game number one, off to a flyer. Trust me when I say that, it didn't matter if it was full or short, it went the distance. But then the game that they played on Sunday, now, I think it was Orlando Galaxy that they played in their second game. 94, I think it was, or more than that. I might be wrong in terms of how much he scored in that game. Let me check.
I believe he scored 93 in his
93,
game.
so I'm one off. I gave him one more. He probably deserves it. But innings was phenomenal. It was well paced. Let me say that, because he didn't blast from the start like he did yesterday. He took a couple balls to get into it, but trust me when I say he punks on anything that was fractionally offline.
Absolutely.
Offline. No, he spared no one, and it was a beautiful innings, deserving of what should have been 100 this weekend.
Oh, no question about it. And then, a guy like Raheem who likes to really just smash the ball and kind of stay there, and he gets some long singles sometimes, but he's not the type of guy that's going to run a lot in between the wickets. And you got him out there with with Aaron, who loves to run. So
he actually caged bats more than he ran singles.
It was ridiculous. I don't remember. I watched that. I don't remember him giving any chances at all.
From my memory, I don't think there was one chance that he really gave in that innings. It was honestly clean striking. It was calculated striking, and players are going to have to look out for him and Atlanta Fire this season. That is for sure, hands down, because you have him at the top. You mentioned Aaron, who is actually clicking, because when Raheem got out on Sunday, Aaron then picked up the slack and he went there, fell just short of a half century. I think he maybe got about 47, 48 against Orlando Galaxy in that second game, and I think that Raheem Cornwall has really added a new dimension to this Atlanta Fire team. Then they also have Jamar Hamilton, who, when he clicks on his day, is also one to watch for. So like early up, I think that if these players actually go straight through, which I'm not sure a lot of them will, because, Aaron is going to leave on national duty. We don't know if Raheem will be there for all, if Jamar is going to be there for all.
Steven's leaving.
Yep, there we go. So once again, it's going to be an interesting dynamic, but I am excited to see what Atlanta Fire does.
Right, absolutely. Everybody's going to get chances now with Steven leaving, with Aaron leaving. Aaron left the weekend, like we said. Raheem, number 3 over the weekend in runs, scored 129 runs, but he did that at a 238.89 strike rate with 15 sixes. I made a reel today of his sixes, and I had to pick and choose which ones I wanted to put in because it was getting too long.
Yeah, it wasn't even little sixes. They were massive. They were massive.
Yeah, exactly. And so when you see a guy like him is number 3 in the league leaving the weekend, and then you have another guy who's number 9 in the league, Aaron Jones, with 88 runs at 162.96. That was his strike rate this weekend. High score of 48. So 48 and 40 were his innings, which is excellent productivity for T20 cricket. But everyone will take that every single game. But yeah, Aaron scoring at that 162.96. He's got kind of a reputation for being a slow starter, but we've seen him in T20 over the last year or so, where he's adapted so much better lately.
No, he definitely has to see that his training is paying off, because I think he understands his role now a lot better. So he lets Steven and the guys go off, and he knows that his role is to bat down deep into the end. And as long as he can keep doing that, he's going to score runs, and he's going to set up Atlanta Fire and whoever he plays for in great positions in any limited overs match.
Absolutely. And I'll be really curious to see where he bats in the USA team in these upcoming T20s in the qualifier down in Zimbabwe, because, there's talk about him possibly opening the batting. He's done it in the past. He did it at least one of the games down in Houston, in the Cricket World Cup League 2. So, we can look forward to seeing him perform. It's nice to see him heading into this international, I guess, break, not really a break for him or anything. It's not really a break at all, but it's nice to see him heading into these internationals on fire the way that he is. Obviously, Raheem Cornwall probably came in on fire as well. So I tell you what, though, he is such a fun guy to watch bat. How do you watch him bat and not just have a smile on your face?
No, you can't. You enjoy it. Even if it's just 10, you are going to enjoy it.
Right. Yeah, it's fun to watch him play. So we get to do it every week. Let's hope we get to do it every week. We'll see. So yeah, there's plenty of good Caribbean players in the league. I know a lot of Caribbean fans actually follow the league because they like to see the players doing well. We've got Colin Archibald here in North Carolina now, and he just recently he was named to the Windies A side and also to the Leeward Islands 4-day team coming up in when's that, September or so. So yeah, we've got some quality West Indian players here. You know much more about them than I do. But so I'll be reaching to you for expertise as I do.
That's never a problem.
So another cool thing, New England Eagles, a lot of people a little bit down on that on them as far as their, they don't have them rated very high, but they won a game this weekend against the DC Hawks. So yeah, there you go. You've got New England, you have Florida, Fort Lauderdale winning games this weekend against teams that maybe last year you wouldn't have guessed that they would have beaten.
No, it's true. I think it's also true what people are thinking about, or rather not thinking about, is that there have been a lot of player swaps that have gone on for season 2. So even the same DC Hawks have lost quite a lot. Pretty much I would call it a nucleus of their side from last season. So, you have the expectations based on the performances from last year, but you also got to take in consideration that there's really been a lot of switching around the players to different teams. And, maybe the new sides might gel together, maybe they might not. But again, it's going to be interesting.
Right. So we talked, you and I spent a lot of time talking about the East last year. And this year it looks like it's going to be a dogfight again. You can just see that happening. New Jersey Stallions, who made it all the way to the finals last year, they lost their first game to the Manhattan Yorkers pretty badly on Saturday. And then they came back and they won on the very last ball against the Cavaliers on Sunday. And Saimu Kamala scoring the winning boundary on the very last ball when they needed 3 to win. Beautiful. Great to see that, especially from a young USA international player. And Sai scored, quite a few runs this weekend. He scored 60 odd runs this weekend, but he didn't even score the most runs amongst players under the age of 21. And that honor goes to Munib Riyasat from Houston, who scored 95 runs at 161. He scored those runs in a game that they lost. So what a shame, but he's 18 years old. I hear he's a very good talent. And so we've got even more emerging players to look forward to too. And Aaman and I are going to talk about that at length, obviously, this week, as we like to do. But so we saw Saurabh Netravalkar. He's heading away. We talked about him for a brief time. He took 6 wickets this weekend. Excellent stuff. Great to see him hot going to play international T20s. We don't play a lot of international T20s in this country. We pretty much just play qualifiers, and then we don't do any other international T20s, except for obviously we had Ireland in December. So this league is. Minor league cricket is very important because it gives us that information we need to know about who should really be in the national team, who should be in the scope of the selectors. So here we are. We've got another season of this, and I think it played a lot into why we had the team that we had in Florida against Ireland last year. It certainly did play a role in that. When you look at the players who weren't even on the national radar, they weren't in the training squad, and they made it to that team, like Ryan Scott last year and Marty Kane. Who wasn't, for some reason, Marty Kane wasn't in the training squad before minor league, but he made it all the way to the national team. He'll be leaving San Diego as well, the San Diego Surf Riders. Also, speaking of the Surf Riders, I don't know if did you get to see their uniforms this year? Did you get to see their shirts this year?
No, I didn't. I saw a couple chats about the uniforms, but I didn't actually personally lay my eyes on them.
Well, look, we try to be positive here, but but those shirts from last year, man, were fantastic. Everybody loved them. Yeah, they were some of everybody's favorite shirts, and they don't have them anymore this year. That's all I'm going to say is they don't have the same shirt this year, and it's a shame.
I mean, you don't want one of their shirts this year.
I mean, I'll take. They can send me one of their shirts from this year too. I can give them my address, but I just, there are some improvements. Morrisville Raptors, I like their shirts this year a ton more.
Mhm.
So that's, there's give and take you know how it is with shirts. It's not like the NFL where you every year you have the same uniforms. This is cricket. I think growing up as an American sports fan, you don't expect your team to change uniforms very often. It's kind of the brand of the team. But as we know, in franchise cricket, in soccer, in other world franchise sports, they change kits every year.
Yep.
So yeah. So the bad news is San Diego changed their kits. Yeah. So we saw some Nathan Stewart, who we didn't know if he was going to be on a team. They didn't announce the wild cards until late, and even then there were some left unsaid. Nathan Stewart stepped up with the Cavaliers and took 6 wickets in 8.1 overs, had a 7.22 economy this weekend. So, it's nice to see some of these players who were wild cards last year stick around. We talk about Rashawn Primus a lot last year. He was with this.
Yeah.
He's back with the team this year. There was a question about whether or not that would happen. Very good pick. Why change something that's working? Powerful guy. He's a prototypical T20 cricketer.
No, he's actually built for it. Look, in terms of his bowling, he is quite economical. He hits, he straps hard. He's one of those very slidey bowlers. Funny enough, he's also from Barbados. Sorry for the plug. But no, he is a gem of a bowler. He's going to get you wickets. He's going to peg back the opposition. But then with the bat, his form back home coming here from Barbados was phenomenal.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Maybe 3 or 400s that he had in the season in Barbados before coming over here. And I'm also excited to see what he does, because he kind of flew under the radar a little bit last season. He showed up for sure in a couple of matches, including the final, and had an amazing performance. And I'm hoping that can carry on as well, because he's played in CPL, he's played, in a couple leagues and whatnot, and he has the talent. So it's now to see if it can click, on a consistent basis. But I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what he produces this year for Silicon Valley, because I think it could be special.
Right. And, you said he's economical, but, yeah, and yes, he is, but he's also quick. How many guys in Barbados are faster than him? How many do you think?
I would say maybe give or take 8, 9, maybe. Yeah.
All right. So we need to start building a bridge. Getting these guys over here. We need to annex Barbados somehow. I mean, in a peaceful way. In a peaceful way. They've already been named the Royals. You know what I mean? They've already gotten the Trident name taken away. So we don't want to take anything else away from them. But yeah, we saw some good bowling performances from some emerging players. We saw Devin Tadani with 3 overs, 2 wickets, 3.0 economy for Silicon Valley Strikers. We saw Sammy Sohail with the Chicago Tigers go 3.4 overs for 2 wickets. A little bit expensive at 9.27, but probably par for an Astro. Ollie Sheikh, Dallas, 4 overs, 3 wickets, 6.25 economy. Vatsal Veghela, 4 overs in his 1 game, 1 wicket, 3.0 economy. Devin Srivastava from San Diego, 4 overs, 2 wickets, 3.75 economy. And obviously, back to the batters, Sai and Manip were phenomenal with the bat this weekend. So yes, go ahead.
Yeah, before you go on, I want to know, I don't know who's keeping the stats on this, but could this weekend be the most batters who've gotten into the 90s but not gone 100?
Has to be. There's 4.
Yeah. Manip Chaudhry, Manip, Rakim, and then Katene Clark run out on 99.
Katene Clark, that was heartbreaking. He was in the 90s, I think, in the middle of the 17th over. He was at 91, I think, in the middle of the 17th over, and didn't make it because everybody around him failed. So he didn't make it to the century, and he had to do the right thing for his team there at the end, trying to get back on strike. Had to take a chance. Had no choice.
Heartbreaking, but I think that could be a stat for us. The most players that get into the 90s without having 100 in one weekend.
Right. That's one of those, stats you don't really need, but it's nice to have. 4 players in the 90s, phenomenal. None of them could get across the line. Most of them had the opportunity to, had the time to do it. I think Unmokt was the one that walked with his bat. Didn't really have the chance to do it. But yeah, so exciting first week so far. We've got the upcoming 4th of July weekend, which is loaded with games. I know here in Morrisville, we're going to have 7 games. Obviously, the Cardinals are going to be playing in 3 of them. Then we have, a ton of visiting teams coming. It's going to be very exciting. So, wait on your vacation until after. Wait on your 4th of July vacation until after Monday. Save up your leave or whatever, because there's going to be plenty of exciting games this weekend. And let's see, is there anything else we need to cover right now? Oh, another thing I wanted to say, we were talking about Rakeem Cornwall scoring 93, and Adam Khan was the bowler that got him out, an under 19 bowler who played in this for the South Zone team in the U19 Nationals. So that's, to me, it's like, this is the best thing about the league right now. We got to see a superstar score 93 runs, and then we got to see an under 19 player get him out.
Yep.
It's 2 great things right there, converging my favorite things about the league.
I was actually impressed with his confidence as well, throwing up the ball again to Rakeem, because he
got hammered.
Nah, he was going, Rakeem spared no one. He was going, so I was definitely impressed with his confidence throwing at the ball. And then funny enough, the very next wicket to fall, he was involved with as well, caught that long on, a brilliant catch. So as an under-19, I was definitely impressed with how he played again this weekend.
There was also a sequence in one of the Woodley games where Guy and Fernando on back-to-back balls had a chance for a run out. This is something I love about cricket, when the batter just gets a piece of it and they try to run that quick single, and the ball's in front of the bowler and he's running in. It's a race between him and the non-striker, and the bowler kicks the ball towards the stumps. The soccer run out. I love watching that. So Fernando just misses getting the runner out with the soccer style kick, and then on the very next ball, it was hit to Harpreet Singh, and he hurriedly he looked to throw to the keeper's end, but realized the better throw was to the bowler's end, and so he just pivots. While he's kind of in the middle of his motion, he just pivots and throws it back to Guy and Fernando. And the ball's a little bit offline because the fielder was going one way and throwing the other. Guy and Fernando makes a diving play as he's falling away, turns and throws and hits the stumps, and they get the run out. And those 2 plays, I love seeing things like that happen, where a fielder has a heads up moment, picks the right end to throw to, and then you see the bowler or the keeper get the ball and then toss it back to the stumps. I love that sort of thing. Like, that's one of the things that makes cricket exciting, is those little run outs like that. It's it's more than just hitting the ball a mile. It's more than just clean bowling batters, and it's more than scoring a century. It's T20 cricket is fast paced. It's got a lot of the things that I think baseball. I love baseball. Me. I love baseball. I'll always be a baseball fan. But right now, there's a lot of stagnant non-action in baseball, and it's like strike out or you hit the ball in the air. There's not a lot of infield play anymore. So I love seeing runouts and close calls like that on, in T20 cricket, in our league, in the minor league cricket, you get to see this stuff happen so often.
Thanks for saying that cricket is better than baseball.
Oh,
don't comment.
I'm not going to go there. That I'm not going to go that far, man.
I had to slate it in. I had to try.
There was so much great action this weekend, so many great plays that reminded me of what I love about the game. And the cool thing is that happened in the premium stream. So I got to see great commentary, replays that were from different angles of the play. That's what this premium stream brings to minor league cricket, and it's a massive addition. I think it's great value for the league.
No, it honestly is. And honestly, at the beginning, I'm excited. I'm genuinely excited. I sent out a tweet just before the start of my league saying, it is really about the platform that it provides for the exposure of talent. So looking forward to it being exposed in a premium way. And yeah, it is going to be amazing.
Yeah. Did any player really stand out? Did anybody surprise you this weekend?
Did anybody surprise me? I'm not sure if I would say that I was surprised, but I was thoroughly impressed by some of the performances. One bowler that stood out to me was Emilio Aponzo, left-arm spinner. One, he took an amazing cotton ball catch, but what I was really impressed with was the way he went about bowling, his control with the lines and limbs. I'm actually very interested in watching him go through, especially against, I don't want to say better opposition, but better batsmen, for lack of a better terminology right now, to see how he controls that as well. But I was thoroughly impressed with how he went about his overs. Of course, is Raheem Cornwall, that just, as usual, he's thereabouts with everything. But yeah, but for one stand-up player from what I watched this weekend, for me, what was Emilio Aponzo.
Yeah, he was terrific. I got to see him in person a couple of times since the last minor league cricket. I've got to see him bowl a couple of times in person, and I'm definitely impressed with that guy. He's a very good bowler. One person who impressed me was Justin Dill with the bat. I thought he was excellent for his new team, the St. Louis Americans. They really need a player like him to step up, and so and he did, and he has stepped up with the bat. And obviously, we both know he's a very good bowler, a very wristy bowler, a good all-around player. So it's nice to see him step up his game where he's getting more batting responsibility on that St. Louis team. And I think that Aaron Adil fella from Golden State.
Okay.
That I mean, 6 wickets in a game, and every one of them were pretty too. He had a couple of it was funny because 2 of his wickets came after 2 straight wides. And one of them was bouncer that went behind the guy, bouncer that went way wide of him to his offside, and then boom, right on the stumps, bowled, clean bowled middle stump. And it's when a guy he gets that much bounce, does a couple of them, you might stand a little bit taller or something, and then boom, stumps tumbling behind you. So I liked watching him. I really enjoyed watching him bowl. I was cheering for him to get that 6th wicket. Yeah, great weekend, and thanks for joining me. And we'll do this again, I'm sure. I mean, I'm hoping that you'll come back, next time.
Nate, I'm here. I'm here, Nate.
Yeah, great. Well, we got to get you back to Morrisville before the finals. You're in Atlanta now, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, let's get you up here next time in Atlanta. Next time an Atlanta team comes up, just come up with them. Just get on the
probably.
Ride.
I will.
Good. You can join me in comps.
Looking forward to it.
Awesome, man. Great talking to you.
All right, Nate.
Week 1 of the Toyota Minor League Cricket Championship presented by Sunoco is in the rear view, and that means it's time for the DAFA News Emerging Player of the Week. And that means I'm joined by Aaman Patel. Aaman, you're a big part of this partnership, and it's my job to get you on strike.
Well, I appreciate rotating strike with you and running around. It was a fantastic week of cricket, and the youth, as always here in minor league cricket, they always seem to stand out, and no exceptions this week.
Yeah. This is a good team, me and you, I think. I got the brains, you got the looks. You probably also have the brains. But
I think you got the look as well, Nate. I think you're selling yourself a little short.
Well, you got the talent, so there you go. Yeah, we've seen a lot of new players in the league this year, new performers that we didn't see last year. Farhan Sabzada is number 2 in runs with 138. We got a couple other new guys, Katani Clark, who fell just heartbreakingly shy of that century. But we also have a couple of new guys in the youth ranks. It's probably going to be less common to see a new youth player because they make up a smaller part of the league, and they can be classified that way for a few years. One of those guys that stood up, brand new to the league, Manip Chaudhry, who scored 95, not out for Houston in a losing effort to Dallas, with a strike rate of 161. That was a first inning score. That's a rivalry game between 2 Texas teams, and it's his first game in the league as an 18 or 19-year-old. That's pretty fantastic.
It was fantastic to watch. I was watching that game live, actually, and he just showed this onslaught of shots to the offside, the leg side, and just anywhere the bowler pitched the ball, he just was going to throw his hands at it, and it was going over the fence. Made life really difficult for the Dallas Mustangs, and unfortunately for his side, he couldn't see him over the line. He just missed out on that century that he was looking for, but he was fantastic throughout, batted through the innings in that hot Texas heat. Really impressive to see. In his first match through, the Houston Hurricanes got to love what they saw to the youngster.
Oh, no question. Especially, we've talked a lot about players being out for USA duty. They have a couple of USA players on that team, so they're going to need players like this, new guys, to step up and perform. And your first game in the league, and you leave the weekend with the second highest score in the whole league. That's pretty darn good, especially being not out, so it's going to take an awful lot to knock him down from right now. He's the favorite. So let's talk about some more of the other players. We've got Dev Tadani with 3 overs, 2 wickets, and a 3.0 economy. Now, Dev, we talked about him quite a bit last year. He was part of that really deep Silicon Valley Strikers team. They have so many good players that it's not uncommon to see a good bowler there sitting on the bench for an entire weekend. Saurabh Netravalkar, who just had an amazing weekend, with him on his way to Zimbabwe for the Cricket World Cup qualifiers, or for the T20 Cricket World Cup qualifiers. That leaves a door open for Dev Tadani to come in and perform like he did this weekend.
Yeah, it does. I think last year you saw him kind of get lost in the shuffle with Kulvinder Singh, with Saurabh Netravalkar, Roshan Primus. They had so many bowlers. You just go in and name and stars all the way down the list. And anytime he was called upon, which was really impressive to me, didn't matter if he was out for 2 games, comes back in and right on the money from ball one. And he showed that again, this past weekend. You put a great highlight package out there of the one that crashed onto middle stump. Perfect in swinger right on top of the middle stump. So again, whenever they need him, he's always performed. And I think as you're going to see Saurabh, go off for international duty, to have a guy like Dev Tadani in the wings to come in and just take that strike bowling part, I think it's a huge win for Silicon Valley.
Oh, most definitely. Yeah, that's you mentioned Kulvinder Singh, and we were talking about the depth of the team. Kulvinder Singh, big part of that finals championship run last year, especially towards at the end of the season, really came on strong. It swings the ball about a half a mile, and he was on the bench this weekend. Came in as 12th man when Jarawala left the game, and we got to see Unmukt with the gloves on. So that was pretty neat. But that just goes to show you how deep that team is when you have a guy named like Kulvinder who's sitting on the bench for the weekend. He's also going to get a load of bowling time, being a left arm swing bowler. So we'll see if Silicon Valley loses any pace and momentum when Saurabh's out for national duty. But that takes us to the next couple of guys in the Central. We got Sammy Sohail from the Chicago Tigers with 3.4 overs, 2 wickets, a 9.27 economy versus St. Louis. That's a little bit expensive, but I don't think that's too bad when you're talking about Astro and things like that. Then we have Ollie Sheikh, Dallas, 4 overs, 3 wickets, 6.25 economy. Ollie, obviously a fantastic player. You've heard his name come out of our mouths several times in the past, and there's a good reason for that. He was picked with the USA team in Florida when they lost some players due to COVID. Temporarily lost those players due to COVID, thank goodness, against Ireland. But so Ollie Sheikh keeps things going. Another guy, Vatsal Beghela, from the Golden State Grizzlies, 4 overs, 1 wicket, a 3.0 economy. I watched him live, and he just, I think he's got a reputation now. Everybody knows that he's not slowing down. He's been too good for too long. He's earned his reputation. Players don't take a lot of chances against him, and if they do, they're in a lot of trouble. And when you have a bowler that's got the ability to take wickets like that batters have to kind of try to play through, can't get too aggressive on, because you don't know when he's gonna swing that arm ball on you that looks exactly like his flighted off break. When you have a team that's really good and you have a bowler like that can take wickets, that's you better bowl well yourselves.
Yeah, and also to go along with that, the reputation that he brings, you can see teams say, maybe we just shut things down for a little bit, and that creates just this ease amongst your other bowlers. Now, if you're the bowler across from him, you don't have to do too much. Now they have to take you on, and you can try a couple of different things, and you might get away with different deliveries because of the fact that they have to hit you. They can't just play you normally. So Wetzel might lose out on some wickets compared to last year, but I think his economy is still going to be just as good. Had a 3.0 economy in T20 cricket. If you're talking about a 6 to 8 economy, you're saying great day at the office. A 3 economy in T20 cricket is unbelievable. So the bowlers across from him are going to be elated to be bowling alongside Wetzel.
Yeah, the issue though with Golden State right now, I mean, obviously, you know, they've added Aaron Adil, who had a game like crazy on Sunday. Took 6 wickets. It took 7 for the weekend. When you got a guy like that taking wickets early on, and then you have a bowler like Wetzel for the middle overs, it's gonna be, you know, it's gonna be a really long day. The tough thing for Golden State now is Wetzel is in that USA team headed down to Zimbabwe. So we'll see how often he's picked in the teams this summer, if he's just going to be picked in the T20 team or if he's going to go also with the ODI team. But I mean, if I'm the selectors, I'm taking him for both teams. I'm not, you know what I mean? It's he's just done so well, and he's such a promising young talent. We're really happy to have him in the national setup. I mean, I think we're really lucky for that. And this is in a crowded field of left arm orthodox spinners. It's going to be the toughest. It's going to be the toughest position to crack for the next 10 years. It seems like in the USA.
Yeah, and you talk about one of them that he's going to be competing with in Ali Sheikh, right? Had a great day at the office as well, 6.0 economy, 2 wickets in his 4 overs, and he bowled really well. Alongside Knox Kenjige, who's on his side, another left arm orthodox spinner for the USA side. So it's a loaded position to be at. There's still plenty more we even haven't named, and a lot of young talent, Wetzel, Ali, Nash. So it's going to be just about who's going to step up at the right moments. And you might see all 3 could be carried on tour just because they're all that good and they can all just shuffle in.
And then Harmeet Singh, when he becomes available for selection in a year or so, who I think about a year, you know, so you're talking about a ton of excellent left arm orthodox spinners. You know, batting, you're going to have to bat at that position, and Wetzel can carry the bat. He can hold the bat. He knows what he's doing. He can use the bat. Obviously, Ali Sheikh, huge upside in that regard. But yeah, great stuff from Wetzel. I hope he gets plenty of chances down there in Zimbabwe. Next up, we got Devin Srivastava from San Diego, 4 overs, 2 wickets, 3.75 economy. Possibly one of only maybe a couple of bright spots for the San Diego team that had a pretty rough weekend. I mean, you know, they were missing Marty Kane, who I believe was resting or preparing also to head out to Zimbabwe. He's kind of the leader of that team. He's the heartbeat of that team. And they went up against a buzzsaw against that Golden State bowling attack on Sunday. So yeah, so anyhow, at least they have that to look at and be happy about Devon's performance. And we talked about Manip Chaudhry's 95, Apurva Maheshram from New England Eagles, 19 years old, scored 83 runs this weekend, two innings, one of them 48 and another 35, and he helped the team to a 1-1 record when they beat DC. So this is a really good start for New England. It's great to see that one of their guys that's starring for them is only 19 years old, has a good upside, and I'm going to be really happy to follow this kid this summer, and let's hope he can lead that team to some more wins.
Yeah, I think, you know, they're going to get lost in all the names in the Eastern Conference specifically. And when you talk about New Jersey, Somerset, you talk about the Stallions, you know, the Empire State Titans, the Manhattan Yorkers, DC Hawks, New England Eagles, so many teams to name. And you're going to have those couple players really stand out and stand big. That's why the Empire State Titans last year able to move forward with Christopher Barnwell and Jala Dua and companies stepping up. We talk about the Stallions, Saitesh Mukamala, you know, Dominic Ricky, a lot of these, Jesse Singh really stepped up. And so for the New England Eagles to get a guy like Apurva to step up at just 19 years of age, have 2 good innings for them, anchor in innings, and be a reason why they're able to win, I think it's a huge win. It's something to look forward to, especially coming off the heels of a disappointing year.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, every team, if you want to compete, especially in the East, if you want to compete, you need contributions from everywhere. So it's great to be able to check off that box of, oh, hey, our U19s or our U21s are performing. You know, that's a really big deal. That's such a big part of this competition. Next up, we have 2 guys from New Jersey who are star players and who have also made their debut for USA in just the last year. and those are Sai Mukamala and Yasser Muhammad. Sai scored 70 runs, but he scored the winning runs in Sunday's game against rival Somerset on the very last ball of the game with 3 needed. Sai is a stud. We both know that. We've both been able to see him in his most recent longer format performances. I saw him in April in Houston at the Houston Challenge, where he led the competition in runs, and you saw him down in Houston at the other Houston ground, Musa, where you lost probably about 15 pounds of sweat doing your 450 consecutive overs of cricket. So yeah, man, excellent stuff from Sai, and I think I speak for you when I say he is phenomenal.
Absolutely phenomenal. I'm not going to hold on to forever that I have a scorecard. I have a screenshot. Sai Mukamala bowled Aaman Patel. I have that. I have that screenshot saved. So whenever he makes his international century, I'm just going to send that to him. But no, he's phenomenal. And the pressure he came in with, right? They lost a couple of wickets early. He comes in against Somerset, big division rival, city rival even. You come in and just facing Najaf Shah and that final over. You need 3 off the last delivery. He comes down, makes a little bit of room and just flicks it. He's so calm, cool, and collected in everything he does. Never seems out of place on the international stage, minor league stage. Doesn't matter who's bowling. It could be, James Anderson at the other end. Right. Sai Mukamala is just going to look just as calm and cool, and he's going to trust himself in everything he does, and just showing off on game day.
Well, right. And so you're saying, are you sure that you're the Aaman Patel that you're talking about?
Oh, it has 2 ways. It's 2 ways. I remember it. It's the worst ball I've ever bowled in my life, but I got his wicket on it. So I'm sure he can remember that one as well.
Well, you got to play the ball, not the bowler. So it's yeah. So he thought that you were bad and you were even worse. That you took him by surprise. basically what happened. Next up, we got Yasser Muhammad. 54 runs in his 2 innings. One of those was a half century, so he had 1 really good innings, and he took 1 wicket in 2 overs. And Yasser, a men's national team player at this point, that's fantastic. What a off season what a minor league off season. There's no off season for cricket in this country, but you know what I mean. What a great job he's done over the last 9 months. To make it to the USA team. He's got a lot of fans on that team. A lot of the guys on that team absolutely love him. He's a good fielder. He's a good athlete, and a good team player. So there you go. We've got 3 guys on this list that have played already for USA. Well, actually 4 guys on the list who have already been in the USA roster, men's roster, not just U19. But let's talk a little bit about some people who didn't make the list, but we're going to keep an eye on Rahul Jarawala. An interesting thing here, Rahul is not opening the batting anymore, or at least didn't this weekend for the strikers. Instead, it's Arsh Butch, who is a young man himself, but Jarawala, out of his opening role, where he helped steer the team to the finals and to the championship last year. Now he's batting down the order in a more attacking position. And I'm wondering if that has anything to do with the fact that that's where he's batting with the US team when he gets chances. That top order for USA is pretty crowded right now, and they need to produce players Elmore Hutchinsons, basically, guys who can come in and smash the ball at the end. So what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I think, when I was down there in Houston, they kind of lacked a second Gurjendra Singh, right? Everybody was kind of top of the order. They were a little bit slower. I think what they're looking for is that next guy can just come in and be the guy to just get going early on and push the boundaries, keep the fielders alive, and keep strike moving, keep the runs flowing. And Rahul, to me, has the potential to do that. We've seen the power he has, hit a slog sweep on debut, has no care in the world. He's going to play his shot, and he's got all the power to clear the rope. I think we saw it here at Mooresville, a couple of big shots that he had. So I think if he just gets more accustomed to that role, opposed to opening, which he's done for the majority of his life just because of how good of a bat he is, I think in that role, if he just gets accustomed to where he's going to be, he has all the talent to do it, and he has the raw game to do it because he's a naturally born hitter. He just sees the ball so well. The hand eye is so good. So to me, it's a fit that could definitely work and something that could pay dividends for both Silicon Valley and the U.S. team.
Right. And teams, there are some teams out there who might be looking for production from this slot, from this, U21, U8, U19 slot. And interestingly, Muhammad Shah from New York, he was left out of any of the teams this year, even though last year he made it all the way to the selection camp for the U19 national team. So if there's teams out there looking, there are players out there they can grab, some free agents they can reach out to. This is a question I asked the league at the press conference about, how can we ensure that all of the training squad players or all of the guys who made it to the selection camp make it to a team. And that's definitely something that the league understands is an issue that needs to be tackled. So we can look forward to that in the future. At the same time, we've had some great production from U19s that weren't even in that didn't make the selection camp for U19 national team. So there's a lot of great young players in this country. If anybody who's a fan of cricket in this country, anybody who's a fan of USA cricket has to be very excited right now about the number of young players we have. So let's narrow it down to two. We got Sai Mukamala's 70 runs that he scored this weekend, including the winning runs in the Sunday's game against the rival Somerset Cavaliers that he scored on the very last ball of the game. So I'm going to put him there because, winning the game on the last ball, the only guy in the league to win the game on the last ball for the weekend, that deserves a nomination. And then second nomination is Munib's score of 95 not out for Houston at a 161 strike rate. Both of these performances came against rivals, and both of them came in very close games. But what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts, Aaman? Who do you think should get Emerging Player of the Week?
I think it's really close. I think both players played really well. Of course, the raw runs you see Manip, has Sai beaten, but winning the match, it feels like you did something really special in a chase. Always really tough, right? One of the hardest places to be. Right. And you're seeing pieces just fall at the other end. He sticks in, sees off the good bowlers, puts balls away. To me, I think I'm going to have to go Saitej Mukamala just for the way he was able to carry his team over the line, just made that little bit more of a difference. And as you said, the only guy to win the game on the last ball, I think Saitej Mukamala for the opening of the 2022 season is going to be the player of the week.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that's a good choice. Only there were 4 guys that scored in the 90s this week. Nobody quite got over the line with the 100. Yeah, that's just a number. Who cares really? But yeah, I think scoring the winning runs in the game when your team needs 3 on the last ball, and he played that ball really well, got creative, played it to fine leg and took off like a bullet in case he had to try to run out 3. But yeah, I'm good with that. I like Sai being the Dafa News Emerging Player of the Week.